Hello and welcome to another news round for EPL Index. It is now Tuesday, the 25th of August, which, if you know your dates, people, means there is precisely 1 week until the transfer window closes. Tuesday, the 1st of September, 11 p.m. There'll be no Harry Redknapp, there'll be no Peter Odemwingie in a car park. It will be done. And in a weird way for the Premier League, it feels like a lot of the big clubs, hell, a lot of any club has still got business to do, hasn't it? So we'll get into that. But maybe more importantly, it's what happens on the pitch, isn't it? The Premier League kicked off this weekend. And there were a few surprises. There were a few disappointments, depending on which side of the fence you sit on. There was a lot to like and entertainment and talking points already, wasn't there? So just in case you have been living under a rock and you missed it, by the way, some incredible results, weren't there? Arsenal, of course, beat Coventry City. We were not surprised by that remotely. But Saturday, newly promoted Hull 2, Manchester United 0. And it kind of looks ridiculous, all that clawing thing from Hull. But who cares when you beat a Manchester United on your Premier League return 2-0? And they were worth it, weren't they? The crowd were with them early. Probably the shock result, you would say, from this weekend. Some interesting ones as well. The newly promoted teams, they weren't the only one. Ipswich got a late 2-1 win over Sunderland. Former Sunderland boy Jack Clark there with the winner. Leeds, that's a great result, isn't it? 1-0 away at Forest. Oliver Glasner's first home game, first game in Premier League with Forest, but they fall. And Spurs were Spursy. Spurs were very Spursy, despite all the new signings in this one. Even with Andy Robertson, a new backline, Van Hecker, Sinesi as well. All the changes. It still looked a little bit like the same old Spurs, and they are going to be uber busy. Hull still takes for me the standout result, but Brighton 4, Aston Villa 0. Not only that, but Aston Villa new boy, João Gomez, a red card, a blatant red card, especially when you're already on a yellow, gave a goal away. A nightmare for him, but a nightmare for all Aston Villa fans who noticed a player on strike for this one at the same time, which we'll be talking about. They are going to be busy right up until the end. But even after that, there were still great games. City weren't flowing under Enzo Maresca by any means, but a 2-1 victory against a good Bournemouth side is a 2-1 victory. Whether Gvardiol's pinky toe was on or off, who cares? They get 3 points there. And Dominic Szoboszlai rescues Liverpool with a last-minute penalty in front of the Gallagher 2-2. Newcastle fans kind of gutted and buzzed at the same time. There was fears for you this season, but the heart, the effort they showed. And of course, Xabi Alonso, the London derby last night, that didn't disappoint either, did it? Great game. Early goal from João Pedro, new signing Morgan Rogers on the score sheet. Also, Fulham, new boy Garcia gets on there. Robert Sanchez as well, Chelsea fans. Plenty to get stuck into. Now, of course, there is a full schedule coming up for the next week. Palace City is the Friday night game. Liverpool Forest is the Saturday morning game. But even just before that, some of you, not all of you Premier League fans, your teams will be in action tonight and tomorrow, won't they? Of course, the Carabao Cup. Is that what we call it? Is it still the Carabao? I think it's the Carabao anyway. That kicks off, doesn't it? So interesting ties there. Just a repeat of the weekend. Forest Leeds. That'll definitely be one worth watching. And Ipswich, Leicester. Tomorrow night as well. I think there's a few, if I've got it correct. There you go. Newcastle play at home against West Brom. Spurs might be able to get their first victory under the derby of the season. Charlton at home. Everton away at Preston. So a lot of the Premier League teams are in actions. It's a bit tough to know how that'll fare, won't it? What I mean by that is, will they just play secondary squads? Because everyone else in the Premier League who's not in it this round, I mean, like the big boys are the ones in Europe, they've got that space in, haven't they? They've got a week between games. It'd be interesting to know, do Newcastle, do Forest, Leeds, these types of teams, do they go full strength? Might be the best chance of a trophy. Hard to say, but you have got action all the way through. It's going to be absolutely fascinating, ladies and gents. But I know what you want to talk about. A week left to go. 1st of September, Tuesday, 11 p.m. It slams shut. Most of the teams are still busy, aren't they? After that early surge and Spurs leading that, most teams have gone a little bit quiet now. But some are really starting to ramp up and make moves. Now, it's worth talking about Newcastle. They have been absolutely decimated this summer. Big changes, haven't they? New head coach, midfield galore left, Anthony Gordon as well. I mean, you have to remember they played against Liverpool, and to their credit, with the young Sean Sturr, if I'm pronouncing it right, the young Ajax boy, Lewis Miley, homegrown in there, Visser as the 10, but they didn't disappoint. But every Geordie will know they need numbers in the team, and they're trying. And by the way, they look like they're set to get one in the middle. This, Geordies, you're waiting to be announced in the near future, aren't you? David Ornstein had it at, what was that, an hour ago, literally. Newcastle reach agreement with Manchester City to sign Nico Gonzalez. The deal for the 24-year-old City midfielder, 52 million quid, 48 million of it fixed, 4 in add-ons. The Spaniard's been granted permission to take a medical and complete the move. The former Porto boy. Very much, you could say a box-to-box. It's not really happened for him at City, but it hasn't happened for a lot of players at City, doesn't it, for different readers? Like Reinders, he's gone. I think he could be an interesting addition for you. And in fact, Fabrizio Romano's also went a little bit earlier than David Ornstein on this. He put Nico Gonzalez in Newcastle today for medical and contract signing after a 50 million deal. So a slight variation there. 47 million fixed plus 3 million in bonuses agreed. Newcastle have completed the paperwork exchange. God, we're even reporting on paperwork exchanges right now. That's the way the Premier League window is fixed. Now, Newcastle, you also know you need attackers, and you might be getting a new one. There's been a lot of links, and this one, will it though? Matias Fernandez-Pardo, Lille, 21, on strike. It's important that, which is funny because remember, Newcastle fans, you talked a lot about Isak being on strike. Well, Fernandez-Pardo's been on strike for Lille, trying to get a move. But as Sasha Tablieri put there, what time was this? I don't think it was that long ago. What was it? 11, 12, nearly midday. Newcastle United are set to make a final offer for Matias Fernandez-Pardo. The Magpies preparing to submit a €60 million bid, including bonuses, to convince Lille it's now or never. Now, he wanted to go to Atletico Madrid. Interesting talent, Fernandez-Pardo. Play on the left, play in the middle. Featured very, very briefly for Belgium in the World Cup. But he's been liked by a lot of clubs, and he's been linked with a lot of clubs, hasn't he? Been linked with Liverpool earlier in the window. We just talked about Atletico Madrid there. Aston Villa at one point clearly had an interest in the Belgium youngster. Could be, as soon as up there at the moment, he had an injury. So if it happens, you want it to get him in quite quickly before the weekend, won't you, Geordies? But Newcastle look very, very active in the market, don't they? So Nico Gonzalez, yes. Matias Fernandez-Pardo, maybe. Lewis Hall, I did like the fact that Peter Schmeichel was told absolutely no chance. I'm sure you saw the interview. That'll be reassuring because I know he gave the penalty away, but I thought he had a great game for Newcastle. I think he's one of the league's best left backs as well. It's funny how things can just tweak a little bit, isn't it, for fans? There's still maybe questions for the Geordies, but it is looking a lot more positive in that neck of the woods, isn't it? We'll see if you do any final business in the weeks to go. Oh, the other thing I'd say for you, Newcastle, don't like that blue strip bit at the top. Traditional black and white, but hey, that is just me. Now, The big boys in the Premier League, Manchester City. They've been quite quiet. It's been a focus on sales, hasn't it? We've seen players leave, Rodri being the big one. But this feels like it should be quite a big end to the window for City. Now, they're after wingers, clearly. And last night, we had this from David Ornstein. They've reached an agreement with Palmeiras to sign Alan Elias, deal for the 22-year-old Palmeiras winger worth 37.5 million fixed euros plus 2.5 million in add-ons. The contract length for the Brazilian is in the process of being finalised before he's moved as the Savinho replacement. So, City fans, one winger, not confirmed yet, but set to come in the door. The only thing I would say, though, he's not the only winger leap. There's different players, then there's a Premier League team as well. City fans, what do you make of this one? Cody Gakpo. As the Athletic had it was in their deal sheet this morning. City are interested in signing Liverpool forward Gakpo. The 27-year-old's under contract till 2030, just signed that 5-year deal in August 2025. No club-to-club talks yet, even no discussion with the agent. As it says there, subject to repeated links to Spurs this summer, Liverpool maintained he's not for sale. He scored for them. City fans, how would you feel about Gakpo? Doesn't seem to get much love, doesn't it, from the Liverpool fans? But Spurs and City fans, I'm not going to be honest, I'm not seeing those positive reactions from there. But Alan and Gakpo, would you be happy with that? We'll have to wait to see if it develops any further at all. Now, Rodri's gone. I mean, City, it kind of worked, I suppose, as in it did the job, but you won't want to test it for more games. Mark Gay was in the midfield, wasn't he? You know, felt like, was Maresca trying to make a point? I'm not sure he really needed to Hugo Viana and the powers that be, because I think we're all waiting for confirmation on this one, aren't you, City fans? This was even yesterday morning. Buardi's completed his medical at Manchester City and joins the club on a 95 million euro plus 5 million euro deal from Mill. All documents signed by the club. So you've got one in, a central midfielder, a young central midfielder who was a bit of a star of the World Cup, wasn't he? For Morocco, it's a high price and it's a slightly different type of midfielder. Then again, it's important to say, who replaces Rodri? Who could possibly replace Rodri? But it's fascinating the way it's changed now for City, isn't it? From Rodri, Bernardo Silva, how the makeup of that midfield looks. Elliot Anderson, Buardi. Yeah. And it might change even further. You'll have seen this one. Now, last Friday, just gone, wasn't it? 5 p.m. That deadline that Chelsea passed when, and we said at the time, ladies and gents, so what? And even last night, Xavi Alonso was asked about Enzo Fernandez' future. He said, in football, I am not surprised by anything we will see this week. My wish is we know what will happen for the future, but we will see this week. So much for a last Friday, 5 p.m. deadline, eh? Most of the Premier League is waiting for what? 125 million bids, something like that. Maresca knows the player well from his time at Chelsea. What do you think to that, Steve fans? That midfield hot. Buddy, Anderson, Enzo Fernandez. It's very different to, let's say, the legendary, but Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri. I know obviously you've had people go in there as well, like Reinders, but big change at Manchester City in the midfield, especially. I mean, there could be literally 3 midfield players all around or above the £100 million mark coming in. And how are you going to fund that? Well, Spurs. Simple as that. Savinho is now a former Manchester City player. He is a Spurs player. And he said, whenever I came to play against Spurs, I always talked to my reps about the club. Of course you did. When he said the club was interested in me, I was very happy. And there he is with his multitude of agents all smiling their little noggins off, because of the pure commission they will get. This still seems mad to me. Not got many Premier League goals or assists. I know he's young, but 85 million quid. Just put that in context. Yeah? That's the way the Premier League market's gone. And of course, City fans, you're now waiting for, is this Marmoush one going to be finalised as well? A figure where, I'm not going to call it a diddle because that would be too strong, but maybe a figure where, let's just say, Eintracht Frankfurt aren't picking up the commission they probably thought they would at one time. So we'll wait to see that one as well.